Hey guys, Jordan here with EightVape.com, bringing you some Vaping 101 knowledge. We're going to start teaching you a little bit more about the advanced things that you can do with vape devices. So first on the list, we're going to talk about RDAs. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to build an RDA, what you need to know for wicking an RDA, and so much more. So stay tuned, let's go through this, and I'm going to teach you some knowledge. When do you know when your RDA needs to be changed, you know? A lot of people do it when it starts to taste funky, a lot of people do it way less often than they should. A good judge is to take a look on the inside of it, and if you see the coils, you know, they're a little bit darker here. They're gonna get a little darker depending on what type of juice you use, but I know that I've had these in there for about a week and a half, and running sweet e-liquids, that's way too long. So they're starting to get a little rank. So let's take a look inside and see what we need to do to rebuild this guy. First things first, let's take it apart. Let's see what we're working with here. You know, most of these guys just have a nice removable top cap. Alright, and then you're gonna have the outer chimney here. So we'll pull that off. Alright, and now we've got the build deck exposed. Your coils, your post terminals, all that good stuff. So to get these guys out, all we gotta do is we'll loosen up these terminals here. Alright, so now that we've got our terminals loosened up here, we gotta pull the old coils out. You know, you can do this by hand, but I like to just yank them right out. Look at that, there we go. Gross, look at all that, oh, juice, saturated cotton. No good. Got a little bit left on this coil here. Alright, so now we got the terminals clear. What are we gonna do now? You know? Coils. Get these performance coils. We got them from Ohm Science. Pretty good coil set here. Got a whole variety to choose from. Just to keep things simple, I think I am going to go with a traditional framed staple. These are really good coils for, you know, just your standard wattage mode vaping. Nothing fancy. Don't need to get up to the 300 watt guys with these ones. Alright, so we got our terminals, we got our build deck. What you want to do, you know, you want to just like pop them right in, right? But here's a little bit of an issue with that. As you can see here, the leads are always gonna be too long on these guys straight out of the box, you know? So we gotta take these guys and pre-trim them down a little bit before we get to that point. And we're going to need our wire trimmers for that. Here we go. The wire trimmers. We've got our trimmed, see how nice and trim. Look at those, nice and a lot shorter. So for these guys, we're just gonna drop them right in the terminals there. Drop them right down in there, nice and easy. Right. Now that we got our coils put into the build deck, it's time to tighten these bad boys down, get them put into place. And what I'm using here is a little gauging rod that's pretty much the exact width of the coils that I want them to be. And that's just gonna hold it in place while I tighten these down. So, got one down, that makes it a little bit easier. Going over to the second side, we can just smush this one in nice and tight. You want to make sure these connections are screwed in quite firm, otherwise you're going to end up with loose coils and they could pop out when you start doing the wicking process. Alright, so obviously it's a little crooked, right? What are we going to do here? Easy peasy. We just throw in our gauging rod, bend that guy back into alignment, Maybe push it a little bit forward for better airflow. And there you have it. Look at that. Pristine. Now that we got our coils installed here, what do we gotta do? We gotta test fire them and see if they're actually working. And then you're gonna have to try and figure out what resistance you want to be at. I'm using the Yeehee. We got the Mini SL. This one just came out. It's a great mod for pretty much anything you want to do. And let's fire this guy. We're firing at 60.8 watts here. As you see, you're getting a little build off coming off of that. A little excess schmutz coming off the coils here. As we can see, this lead is running a little hot. So what we need to do here is pinch the coil together. Make sure that the connections are running a little better. There we go. Alright, see this one's starting to run a little bit smoother. And what we're doing right now is we're just creating a little friction on the surface of the metal for the coil. And what that's going to do is increase the resistance capacity for electricity to pass along those lines. And just play with your coils, try and work with them the best you can to get that nice even red glow across all surfaces. Very important if you don't want to end up having to rechange these 3 days later because you developed a hot spot. Alright. Look at that. Nice. Alright, so when we come back, we're going to talk about wicking, and let's show you what that's all about. Alright, so wicking. We got some cotton bacon here, good stuff from Wick and Vape. And it's gonna come out of the package like this. You know, that is obviously not going to fit in your coil. So you want to rip it down. I've been working on these pieces right here for a little bit. This is about the width that you want to go for these coil sizes. But you know, it's to your preference. So, what do we do here? We got to thread the end a little bit. Just like threading the needle with grandma, right? Remember how hard that was? Ooh. Stick it right in there, and boom, just pull it through. Now the key to wicking, alright? A lot of people go with way too much cotton. If you get it to the point where it's actually moving the coil head, that's not good. That's too much cotton. You're gonna end up burning your cotton more than your juice. Alright, if you get it to the point where there's no resistance at all, and you can see this one is starting to tug a little bit here, but if you get to the point where it's just sliding through very easily, nothing's fraying off the sides, then you're at the point where there's too little cotton, and you're gonna end up burning your coils more than you're burning your juice. Obviously that's way too big to fit in there, so we'll trim down the sides a little bit. Alright, take just a little bit off there. And then what I like to do, it's not necessarily required, but I find that it helps with saturation. If you take the end and you just fray it out, just get a little bit of fabric going there. Alright, now we just take that, tuck it right in under there, tuck that in there. And it's very important, absolutely crucial, that when you're doing the wicking, that you make sure there's no cotton blocking the coil here and pushing the cotton up against the coil. I mean, that can cause like a lot of burning, and it'll leave a horrible taste in your mouth. So we got our wicks in here, and let's take a look at how we want to saturate this and then move on. Alright, so we got it wicked, we got the new coils in, let's put this guy together. Alright, so we just throw the top cap on here, like that, and before we put the drip tip on, let's fill it up. I'm vaping on some of this new mochi dough from Juice Dimension. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but if you like sweet flavors, can't go wrong with mochi dough. So we'll just put a few drops in there. You know, don't be afraid to saturate it a decent amount. These coils will soak up a lot more liquid than you would think. And the last thing you want to be doing is vaping on undersaturated cotton. Alright, so now that we got some juice on our cotton here, nice and saturated, let's give it a little, you know, I like to blow off the top of the coils just to make sure there's no excess juice on there that's going into your mouth. I know we all like flavor, but that's too much flavor. Alright, let's give this a try. Ooh, that's good. Alright, so that was coil building. It's a little more advanced, but once you get the hang of it, pretty simple to do. This has been Vaping 101. Stay tuned to the 8Vape channel. We're going to be bringing you way more news, way more content, and hope to see you soon.